Hi everyone, I'm Lana Fox and this is Modern Day Mermaid, and today I want to talk about sexual fantasies. Well, let's start with the mermaid myth. We're often led to believe that mermaids are simply very pure creatures who sit on rocks of combing their hair very purely. We're also at certain times taught that they're very evil temptresses, of course, but that's another story. Today, I want to think a little about sexual fantasy and about how we, as women, need to own our sexual fantasies and enjoy them. But society in the past has often said to us that good women, upright women, shouldn't have sexual fantasies or shouldn't have explicit sexual fantasies. So it's been very difficult, I think, for us. In fact, to illustrate it, there was a study done years ago in the 1990s at the University of Amsterdam, I believe Dr. Ellen Lahn. And Dr. Lahn basically showed men and women a piece of porn and said afterwards, "Did you find that arousing?" And most of the men said yeah, and most of the women said no. When actually, when they measured the arousal levels physiologically, women were being turned on by the porn, but either they weren't aware, they'd sort of blocked out that they were being turned on by the porn, or they were ashamed to say so. So kind of interesting results that speak to us and what we've been taught to believe about ourselves, I think. So we're in a really interesting time because almost everyone seems to be reading 50 Shades of Grey, and we're starting to think a little differently about fantasies, and I'm very glad about this. I believe very much in psychodynamic theories, and one of them, one of the strains of psychodynamic theory, talks about libidinal energy, the idea that when we fantasize about something and block it down, we don't let out the energy that we need to let out. You know, so if it's a dark fantasy, say it's a rape fantasy, we might feel ashamed about having that rape fantasy, and we might deny it to ourselves, and then it will bury into our unconscious. And the problem with that is when we bury things into our unconscious, they have to express themselves because it's energy that has momentum and power, so it has to express itself. We can get sick, we can find ourselves behaving in ways that we don't want to behave and wondering why. That can be aggressive, or it can be self-harming, or it can be self-critical, and those things don't make for a happy society, a healthy, happy society. So it's very important that we own our sexual fantasies and see them as creative and beautiful, and see them as actually nurturing us. And I think one of the reasons that there is a problem about this in society is because people think that we don't know the difference between fantasy and reality. When we're reading a crime novel, people don't say, "Oh gosh, if you read that crime novel, you're going to turn into a really bad person." Well, maybe some people do, but I haven't heard it a lot. Whereas when you're reading an erotic novel, when you're watching porn, people think that, you know, particularly if it's aggressive porn, an aggressive scenario rather, people somehow think that that's going to taint us because we won't understand that that's something that we can't do in real life. And the same happens with horror. You know, people say, "Oh, horror is going to infect you." No, because you are owning it. You know that this is fantasy, and that the absolute one of the many reasons that you would not do this in real life is because you know that it would harm other people and it would also harm you. You know that, which is why you fantasize about it, because you know it's a fantasy and something that you can let out very safely. That doesn't mean that if you didn't let it out, you would go and rape someone, right? It just means that you have a struggle inside you, that you're wandering around with some part of your mind trying to repress something that, you know, might cause you acne, might cause you to snap at someone. So I think it's really important that we acknowledge our sexual fantasies. I'm a senior editor at a new erotic press called Go Deeper Press, where we believe that sexual fantasy is a beautiful, wonderful, creative thing, and that actually it helps us to connect to other people, because when we accept ourselves sexually or accept ourselves fully, and fantasize and create for ourselves and enjoy other people's creations, we become more loving people and more peaceful people. And there's less war and less strife and less abuse and less controlling and yes, less aggression. So that's definitely where I'm coming from. And of course, I'm talking about theories, and there are lots of theories that are out there. But, mermaids are a theory too. And there are people who tell us that mermaids do exist. I mean, there are spiritual people who do believe in mermaids. So, so yeah, let's just know what we let's just know the difference between reality and fantasy in terms of our fantasies and in terms of the stories that we enjoy, and in terms of our sexuality. And let's just not be ashamed. Let's not be ashamed of being women who are aroused and who want to have healthy sex with other people or with ourselves, and who want to have narratives that excite us and inspire us and let us go out into the world and be good, healthy people in any way that we can. So, yeah, enjoy yourselves, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Take care. I love you. Bye bye.